Hello and welcome back to another video, and today we are doing something a little bit different. We are here on MotoGP 21 as usual, but today I've decided to do a game experiment with career mode. So in today's video I'm going to see what happens when you perform really badly in a team. Can you get fired? What happens if you do get fired? Like, what are your options? Do other teams sign for you? Or is your career over? And I'm also going to see what happens if you try and start a season without signing a contract as well. So as far as I know, you can get fired in the game, but I've never tried it. I've never seen it happen to anybody. And also, starting a season without having a contract, I'm pretty sure that's possible because you can just not sign a contract. So I'm not exactly sure what happens in that case, so we'll have to see in this video. But of course, first things first, we've got to start off the career mode. Don't worry about me overwriting my save. I've backed it up, so we'll be able to carry on with the regular career mode whenever we can. And I think we'll go into MotoGP because it'll probably be a bit easier to get fired. If we go into the official 20... You know, we'll do full calendar. We'll do full calendar. I was going to do official 2021 calendar. We'll do the full calendar. Obviously, you can sign your personal manager. It doesn't really matter who we're going to sign. Basically, what we're going to do in this video is we are just going to retire from every race, pretty much, and just see how much my reputation goes down. Because, of course, if I'm not achieving the qualifying and race objectives, the team are not going to be very happy with me. So I just, want to know what will actually happen. Like, will I get fired? Will I go bankrupt? And obviously then if I do get fired, I'll try and start a new season without signing a new contract as well, see what happens there. But of course we could do a factory or a new team. I think we'll go with factory first, so it's telling me all the information I already know. Now there's a Aprilia one. Let's see which has actually got the highest race goals. I see they've all got pretty low. That's the problem. The goals are pretty low for them. But you know what? It doesn't matter. We'll sign for LCR Honda Castrol because I think they'll probably have the highest. Well, the expectations are the same, but obviously it's a Honda, so it should be a little bit better than the Grassini and the VR46 Avintia. So there we go. That is us signed up to here. We'll skip over this cutscene, skip over the team stuff, and there you go. It's just giving me the quick intro. So we are here. Apparently you can level up the HQ, which is quite interesting. I don't really want to mess with that too much because I don't want to spoil what is in store in the career mode for myself, of course, if there is anything new. But I do want to just get straight into this and get fired. So we're just going to advance forward to the first race weekend of the season, and I'll see you there. So I actually completely forgot about the winter test, but of course, again, we're just going to back straight out of this, not bother. Pack 3, exit to career menu. It's going to ask me which pack I want, I think, for a guess. Actually, I didn't end the test. I accidentally just exited. I've got to actually press end test, haven't I? So there we go. Finish test. Actually, press the right button this time. And it's going to ask me for the pack. We'll go for pack 1. Not that it matters, because we're not going to be finishing a single race this season. So we'll just keep going forward again until we get to Qatar. You forget actually how many free weeks you get until you're just spamming through advance forward. You know what? I actually realised I probably could have just pressed go to Grand Prix. But there we go then. First race weekend of the season. We'll turn off all the sessions, turn off all the free practice, qualifying, just go straight into the race, and then just retire straight away. So I retired immediately at the start of the race. Looks like Jardim Mir has won the first race of the season then, ahead of Vinales in second and Fabio Quartararo in third. Jack Miller in fourth and Franco Morbidelli in fifth place then. So championship, of course, is going to be the same. Monster Energy Yamaha lead, 6 points ahead of Team Suzuki X-Star. So Alex Rins letting that team down a little bit. Probably not a lot is going to have happened from this first weekend since there's only one weekend, but we didn't achieve the race goal, so the reputation should go down a bit. So we lost 7,800 and apparently we're secure still, so no issues on that front. But I have just noticed that we've really not got a lot of credits, so we might actually go bankrupt here with only 36,000. We've got a few teams interested, apparently. So apparently I retired from that race straight away, and now Suzuki... Oh no, not Suzuki. A few teams are now interested, so that's really weird. That same kind of thing actually happened to me in Moto2, didn't it? So I actually got a similar level of reputation, I think, to what I actually have in my real career mode. But if we just advance forward straight to that race... Oh, it's going to be wet, this one. Well, it's not going to bother me because I'm not going to be doing it. So this time Fabio Quartararo won then, Vinales second, Mir third, Rins fourth and Miller in fifth place. So let's see what that's done to the championship then. Quartararo and Mir now tied for the lead. 1 point further behind is Maverick Vinales, and they've got then 17 points over Jack Miller. In the team's championship then, Yamaha actually continue to extend then. They're 22 points down in front of Suzuki, with Ducati behind. Petronas Yamaha actually doing pretty well, so I think that's partly because Rossi is a little bit too good in this game. He like consistently is up there in the top 10, which obviously he's only had one top 10 so far this season in real life, so it's a little bit too good. But again, second weekend of the season, I can't see our reputation being too damaged by that. So again, the same thing, we just lost 7,800, still pretty secure, so I think it's going to take quite a few rounds till we're in trouble. So I think what I'm going to do is, I think we're going to just probably skip forward a few rounds and then come back to you probably halfway through the European leg, or if anything particularly changes. It's taken me a few rounds to notice this, but I noticed it at the end of the last round and kept an eye on it this time. It seems like your reputation can't drop lower than a certain threshold. See, I'm stuck with 165,000, which is really, really weird. Like, every time I keep losing 7,800 and I drop down to 165,000. It's really, really strange. I'll show you here, actually. If we just quickly retire from this race as well, you'll see that I'll lose the exact same amount of reputation. So after that race, then, you can see we're back up to 172,800 again, and we lose the same amount, that's 7,800 again, which takes us back down to 165,000. So it seems like there's some mechanic in the game that is stopping me from getting any lower than 165,000, weirdly enough. So I think I'll probably need to restart this potentially and try it with a different class, because I'm guessing it's just not going to let me drop out of MotoGP. It's not going to let me have any lower than the minimum reputation, because it's just not decreasing at all. So it doesn't seem like I can get fired particularly. My cash is getting pretty low actually, so I might continue for a little bit longer just to see kind of what happens when you go bankrupt, but it just seems like I can't lose any reputation. So we're getting towards halfway through the season now, and I haven't really been paying attention to the results, to be honest, because Quartararo had won about 3 in a row, so I kind of expected him to clear off, but things have changed quite drastically, because Vinales has got 22 points on Quartararo. Mir is in 3rd place, so Mir's dropped behind Vinales as well. Miller is now 4th, Morbidelli 5th. We've got Alex Rins all the way down in 6th place. Aleix Espargaro again moves back ahead of Pramac up into 9th place. I think we saw him do that earlier on, but this championship's been flipped on its head a little bit. I wasn't fully paying attention, honestly. I kept seeing that Monster Energy Yamaha were leading and just assumed that Quartararo had cleared off with the title, but no, it's actually Vinales. They've got a big lead though. Look, they've got 140 points over the next team. They are absolutely dominating. So again, we dropped down to 165,000. But we are getting there with the credits now. We're down to 4,000. So that should be pretty close if we advance forward again. Ooh, we're still on that. So we really are getting up to halfway now. Because if we have a look, I have finished... Well, I've not finished any of the races. We've done half the season, effectively. In fact, we have. That was halfway through the season. So if we start the second half of the season, we'll see if the reputation drops any lower there. I can't see it happening, to be honest. It does seem like there's a mechanic stopping me from dropping below 165,000. I'll keep going so that I can see how low the credits can go, because I've never actually gone bankrupt in the game. I got very close in MotoGP 20, but I just want to see what happens when you do it in this game. So we've just gone into negative credits there then in the previous week as we advanced forward. So we're now down to minus 3,000, so that'll be interesting to see what happens. We've got a lot of notifications here, so we've literally got the maximum number of candidates. We've got 10. On there. We've got 2 notifications on here as well. We've received proposals apparently. So Ducati Lenovo and Sky VR46 are actually interested in me for some reason. And this is actually Ducati Lenovo, the custom team, I think, not the official one, which is really, really confusing because there's now 2 Ducati Lenovos, because in real life Ducati are now Lenovo. So since we're now in the negative credits, I'll just keep going and just see sort of if we get any prompts or anything like that, because I saw when somebody went bankrupt last year on MotoGP 20 that there was a prompt that just kept telling you that you'd gone bankrupt. So I just want to see if that kind of thing happens in this game, because we are now below 0, so I would have thought we would have got a prompt at least, but it perhaps won't come up until we next have to pay out again. So we lost another 8,000 and we're now down to minus 11,000, so that's quite interesting. We have got 10 notifications on the personal manager now. Please don't tell me more teams are interested. Okay, no. Other teams are finally not interested. So we've lost a few teams. So Pramac and LCR Honda Idemitsu are now not bothered. So my reputation is still just dropping to 165,000 every time. I wonder if in the game it's actually keeping track of a value that is lower than this, because otherwise it wouldn't make any sense, because my reputation has been literally the same the entire season. I mean, it didn't make any sense that teams became interested, but now that they're not interested anymore, and it's only Avintia Sponsorama that actually are interested. Same with the fake teams as well. It's only KTM, Hertz, and My World Aprilia that are now interested, but they still have got high proposal chances. I suppose it's to give you an option. We've got Aprilia, Team Racing Grassini, Skyvl 46 have sent us contracts. If we actually refuse these contracts, just to see kind of what happens here. But the game doesn't seem to care that we're out of money. If we have a look at the finances, yeah, well, look, you can see we're massively in the red there. So the reason why it's only the personal manager that takes up 100% of the staff's wages, you can see on this right-hand side, is because these technical staff are just the LCR ones. They're not actually mine, because I never signed any at the start of the season. And actually, you know what? Let's try and actually sign somebody, just to see if it actually lets me do it or not. Because if it does, then that's a bit, you know, the money is a bit pointless in this game if you can just sign people without having any. We'll just sign... Okay, yes, so we can't. You need 18,000 to be able to hire him, and we need 18,000 for him, and for him, and well, 29,000 for him. But yeah, we can't hire any staff then. So you can't hire anybody, which makes sense. So when you're in minus money, you can't hire any new staff. But that seems to be the only repercussion. There doesn't seem to be anything else. Probably because we don't have a junior team, potentially. Could be that. So then, this time, I decided to try something different. I actually got disqualified, rather than actually just retiring from the race. But you can see it's put me up to 174,050 reputation this time, and then taken away 9,050. So it still leaves us with 165,000. So it seems like there is just some hard limit. You can see I'm in minus credits by a fair amount now, minus 27,773. The game doesn't really seem to care. But that was the Malaysian Grand Prix that I actually did that in, so we're going into the final round of the season now, and we may as well have a quick look at the championship to see how the AI are doing. So it's actually been a really close battle all season between Quartararo and Viñales. It's actually swung between the two of them quite a bit, so it's not actually been Viñales leading this entire time. Quartararo has got back in front, Viñales back in front, Quartararo back in front, and then I think Viñales finally took over. But Quartararo actually had quite a poor Malaysian Grand Prix, so he's now 14 points down. So it seems like Viñales is probably going to win this one. Everybody else seems pretty static. Alex Rins pretty underwhelming compared to his teammate, really. Jack Miller, to be fair, is not doing too bad. He's quite close to Jean Mir. I think he won the British Grand Prix, but I think that's the only one I've seen anybody other than the Yamahas and Mir win. So that's not ideal for the rest of the grid, is it? But they are absolutely miles ahead of the other guys behind. So you can see, obviously, Quartararo and Viñales, they're in a league of their own in front of everybody else. But you can see Mir and Miller equally are a good 100 points in front of Morbidelli and Rins as well. So quite a good battle for both third and first in the championship. It'll be interesting to see who wins. Look at the Constructors' Championship as well. That's tied up. Look at the huge gaps. Aprilia have actually slapped KTM up this year. So it seems like in MotoGP 21, the Aprilia actually can score points because Aleix Espargaro has looked too bad. Because in MotoGP 20, they basically couldn't. Like most seasons, you'd end Constructors' Championship with 0 points for Aprilia because just neither of their riders were good enough. But it seems like Aleix Espargaro actually can this year. KTM, though, only 16 points, so they're pretty nerfed. And then in the Teams Championship again, look at these gaps. 766 points, that's unbelievable. I've never seen a total so big in a Teams Championship. Wow, that is huge. And we have 1 point. So Alex Marquez has only scored 1 point so far this season, so he's really not done very well. But we'll advance through this last race then and see who wins the championship. So then, Viñales put it on pole, Quartararo second, but Aleix Espargaro third place, Marc Marquez fourth. So this could be quite an interesting finale for these guys. I am going to just retire straight away, but I just wanted to see who was actually on the grid. Well, I knew who was on the grid, I wanted to see what order they were in the grid. So if we retire for this last race of the season, then I think Viñales has lost the title. That is just so Viñales. That is so Viñales. The game has nailed that perfectly. The guy's on pole position. He's got a 14-point lead over his championship rival. He could finish second to him. He could finish third to him. He could even finish fourth. In fact, I think he could even have finished fifth. But sixth was the one position that he needed to, finish higher than. And he failed to do so. And that's going to give Quartararo the title by a point. So yeah, Viñales could have finished fifth place. But he literally finished the position that he needed to finish higher than. And he's lost it at the final round to Fabio Quartararo. Mir ended up in third place, then he managed to beat Miller. Rins managed to beat Morbidelli. Is there any other changes down the order? No, there's not. A lot of riders miles off. But honestly, Quartararo and Viñales, 400 and 401 points. They've basically won like every race. Not every single race, but it's been quite rare that they've not both been on the podium. Like, they've been absolutely dominant. I mean, same with Mir. It's been those top 4 in the standings right there, just top 4 in pretty much every race. But if we look at the Teams Championship, then doesn't seem to be any changes here. Nope, no last minute changes there then. And the Constructors Championship, yeah, that stayed exactly the same. Not that I expected it to change. So 801 points for Yamaha. That is fantastic. 475 of the Constructors. That is fantastic, really, because what is the maximum that you can get? You get 25 a race, can't you? And there is 20 races in a season. So there's literally only 500 points you could pick up in a season, and they got Yamaha got 475 of them. And there's only 500 you could get. That is absolutely ridiculous. They only lost out on a perfect total by 25 points, which is only one race wins worth, over 20 races. That's unbelievable. So their riders both getting over 400 points when the maximum you can get is 500 anyway. That's absolutely ridiculous. So well done to Yamaha. I think the AI performance might need to be tweaked a little bit there to make it a bit more interesting. And once again, we dropped down to 165,000 reputation, shockingly enough. But there you go, we actually get to see our entire stats of the season. Nothing, 0 wins, 0 podiums, 0 poles, 0 credits, nothing from the team objective. So what a good season we've had in the LCR Honda camp. But I think the next thing to do then is literally to advance forward to the end of the year, because I just want to see what happens if you don't sign a contract. But it seems like you can't be fired by your team. That's what I've gathered from this season. We've not finished a single race. We retired from one of them. We got black flag from one of them. And you can't get your reputation any lower than 165,000 if you start in the MotoGP class. I might try it again with a different class just to see if the result is different. But we've not been fired. So it doesn't seem like you can get fired in this career mode. Or if you can get fired, you maybe can't get fired from a top team. It does tell me that contract status is dismissal. It's been telling me it's been secure the entire season. And it is telling me that it is in the point where I could get dismissed. But I can't get any lower than this. So I guess they haven't dismissed me because of that. Because I couldn't get below 165,000. It's probably because of that. So I think potentially what I need to do next time is maybe start with MotoGP again. But sign for like Repsol Honda or Monster Yamaha. Because I didn't get the option, of course, to sign for these. But I might need to like maybe mod my save file or something so that I can sign for them straight away. And then see if I can get fired by them. Because it doesn't seem like you can get fired by a low-rate team. But if we start this next season then, I don't know what's actually going to happen. So if we go to full calendar, it makes you sign a contract. So this is what happens then. It's like search contract with factory teams. And even though I rejected these guys, they are still interested. So you can't go into a new season without signing a contract because it makes you sign one. I guess that makes sense. Seems to be some sort of fail-safe to stop you doing that. So a little bit disappointing. I kind of wanted to see some chaos. We didn't get any notifications for running out of cash. We didn't get any notifications for, being fired. We didn't get fired by anybody. We just didn't sign a contract. Then the game made me sign one anyway. So it just seems like there's a fail-safe just to stop you from, being too bad that you get fired from your team. I suppose it's to stop players being discouraged, or probably more likely to stop any bugs in the game. But yeah, I couldn't be fired during that season without finishing a single race. I think what I might do, I might try this again with a higher up team and see if that works. So I've just simulated through another season. I did some trickery to get the game to allow me to sign for Repsol Honda. I had to set their reputation to really low, so you can see that my objectives are super low, but I think it should fix itself. It should update once I advance to the next season. It should update to what Repsol Honda should be. But the reason why I'm mentioning this now is because advancing through this season, it was even more ridiculous than last time. So Fabio Quartararo won the championship again, but you can see he won it by nearly 60 points ahead of Viñales this time, instead of stealing it by 1. And he got 440 points. So Fabio only missed out on 60 points all season. Jack Miller was also a lot closer this season to the two Yamahas. I mean, he beat Mir by quite a fair way. Rins was really far behind. I mean, again, he was about 100 behind Mir, but he was also behind quite a few other riders as well, down in 8th in the championship instead of in 5th. But yeah, Miller, I think Miller got pole and won a few races this season rather than just getting 3rd and 4th positions, so he was a lot closer to the Yamahas. But still, he was nowhere near winning the championship, and Quartararo dominated it even more. I mean, if you look at the Constructors' Championship, 471 points. So, actually slightly less in the Constructors than they did the season before, because I think they had 475 last time. But the Teams' Championship, that's where they gained a ridiculous amount. They got 821 points out of a possible 900. I mean, that is ridiculous. They won the Team's Championship by almost 300 points. Now, bear in mind that there's no mods to do with the rider performance going on at all here. This is base game performance that you're getting here with the Team's Championships. Like, they are getting 821 points over a season, and they're beating the Ducati Lenovo team by 300 points. I mean, Suzuki, they were miles behind this time. I don't know what happened to Suzuki in this season. They were much closer in the previous one, but this time they were behind Ducati as well. They were like nearly another 100 points behind them, and then Repsol Honda again are like nearly 200 points behind Suzuki. So it's like, it's crazy. The gaps are absolutely huge. Again, a few teams not scoring any points. This time, LCR Honda Castrol actually didn't get anything. Of course, Alex Marquez brought home a point last season, but not this time. But I just thought it was worth noting that, again, Quartararo won, but they won by a ridiculous margin this time. But if we go into the next season now, I am hoping that it will update it. In fact, it's telling me to search for a contract. Oh, right. So I signed for Repsol Honda. It's a 2-season contract. But I guess they must have fired me through lack of performance. So it seems like you sort of can get fired, but it doesn't tell you you've been fired. It's kind of weird. So I think this kind of brings it to a close. I think the only other thing I can do now is actually go through a season legitimately and get a legitimate contract with Repsol Honda or Yamaha or Ducati, and then see if I can get fired mid-season by one of those teams. Because of course, what I've done now is I had to set Repsol Honda to low so I could sign for them off the bat, and that will have messed with the game. So slightly weird there, but I think that's what I'm going to have to do. But I think I'll probably leave that video there then. So it seems like you can't be fired in MotoGP 21. They'll get rid of you at the end of the season, potentially, because I was supposed to be in a 2-year contract. But again, that could have just been because of the mod I used to try and sign for Repsol Honda straight away. But in that first season, we didn't get fired by LCR Honda. I was 100% expecting to be able to be fired, but it seems like you can't be fired from either a low-rate team. The high-rate teams, I don't know. We need to obviously go through, do a legitimate season, get enough reputation to be signed by them. That's a problem. It's just quite time-consuming, because it's quite easy to just retire from every race in a season. That only takes like 10 or 15 minutes, but when you're going through and actually having to race every race, and you have to get a good result as well, yeah, that'll take a bit longer. So perhaps I'll do a sequel to this video, seeing if we can get fired from Repsol Honda or something like that. But it seems like you can't be fired from the bottom rate teams. But like I said, hope you did enjoy that one. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you're all staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.